everybody. I will talk, I'm going to talk about the Jehovah Witness dress code when I was growing up in growing up in the organization. Um, when I was growing up in the organization, it depends on which congregation you was going to. You know, if you was in a congregation that had mostly young people, it was more flexible about the style of dress. But if you was in a older congregation with a lot of old people, then they was more strict. Like when I was in the West Baltimore Windsor congregation when I was let's say from up till I was 12 years old, and then my parents moved us to East Side. They moved us to East Baltimore, and the West Side was little more flexible about the style of dress. They had their rules, but at least my mom was allowed to make my clothes and to customize my clothes then. But even then, they were strict on both of my parents. My father put a relaxer. He had my aunt straighten his hair out, and he he looked like Billy D. Williams. He had his hair pressed out, and they made him cut his hair off. And then my mother, she went and got braids. Her hair was all beautiful and done up, and they made her take all her beautiful the African braids out her head. You know, so I think it's because they were jealous. The elders and the people in the Windsor congregation were jealous, and they want my parents to come out the. They didn't want them to look different than the other Jehovah. uh, They didn't want them to look different, you know. And then we moved to the Central Baltimore Central congregation, and more. It was more elderly people, so they was more strict. So you couldn't wear uh, dresses below a certain length. You couldn't wear the latest style of dresses. You know, you couldn't wear the latest style back then. And they kept giving you secondhand stuff. Yeah, but now when I look on the I look on the I, I look on the when I look on the JW.org website, I see all kind of styles that we didn't wear uh, back then, and I'm like, man, if they had those styles on the website like they did back then, we would have gotten pulled up on it, or probably would have gotten this 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 fellowship over it. You know, I was like, man, you know, they letting people they letting people do a little bit more than what they used to back in the 90s and the 80s, you know, in the 80s and the 70s. You know, I got this fellowship in 1988, but they still letting folk wear more. They letting them wear more than what we used to. You know, you couldn't even wear. You couldn't take certain bags. You couldn't wear a certain coat. You know, if you went outside, you going door to door, there was guidelines on what kind of outerwear you could wear going out the field service. You know, yeah, and it was uh, it was certain kind of bags you could take out in the field service, you know. So now they got those carts now, from where I see now, you know, they ain't had that where I was growing up, you know. We had to, I remember me having to walk everywhere, you know. We had to walk really miles, to be honest with you. Walking, even though people had cars, we had to walk to make up for our field service time, you know. But I wouldn't dare now. Now, even though that it seems like they more flexible in the congregations now. From what I see on the website, I still wouldn't want to be reinstated. Yeah, still won't be reinstated because that strips away from folks' culture and their individuality and their freedom. You know, people should be able to wear what they want to wear in modesty without the elders or the organization policing them about what they should or shouldn't wear. You know, that's how you know you in a cult, because they controlling how you dress when you go to field service, how you dress in the Kingdom Hall, how you, all that, you know. They act like you don't have no Holy Spirit to tell you what you shouldn't and shouldn't wear, or they act like you don't have no godly conscience to tell you how to dress, you know. And a lot of it, they control it because they want you in their clique. You know, if you may be in a certain neighborhood where you can afford expensive, nice quality clothes, and you know, afford to look real nice. And they want you go in the Kingdom Hall in a congregation where they want you to dress down, or they want you to dress less than what you can afford to look real good. you know. Anyway, I thought I'd make a video about that. Yeah, I be stuttering. I ain't stuttering real bad. Oh boy, I stutter bad when I'm under a lot of stress. Yeah, but I keep making these videos. Yeah, I'm gonna keep on telling the truth about the organization and sharing my testimony. You know, because I'm sure there's a lot of other people that went through the same thing and going through the same thing with um within the organization. Okay, like, share, and subscribe.